What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel and welcome to my first video of 2021. How crazy does that sound? I'm so happy with how the Christmas series went. I really hope you enjoyed it. I've had a lovely little break with my family and now I'm back. I'm ready to give you some advice on setting some New Year's goals and most importantly, how to stick to them. So before we get into the video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, hit that big red subscribe button. It really does help me and we are so close to 50k now, so you guys need to help me get there. And lastly, at the end of the video, make sure to drop a comment letting me know what your New Year's resolutions are and let me know if you found this advice useful. Okay, let's get right into it. You already know this from personal experience. I certainly do, but it's very easy to let your New Year's resolutions and New Year's goals slip through your fingers. A very small percentage of people actually follow through with their goals and their New Year's resolutions. Time gets away with them and then suddenly it's the end of the year and you're like, oh snap, I didn't do all those things I hoped to do. So we're gonna make sure that doesn't happen this year. Did you know that people that actually make resolutions are 10 times more likely to achieve their goals than those that don't? Let's pull our socks up, work on living our dream life, managing our money better, hitting those business goals, traveling more, and most importantly, setting these goals and actually sticking to them. So today I have 8 tips on how to set goals and stick to them, and I'll try and keep them concise and punchy so they stay fresh in your mind. Okay, so your first step in setting these goals and setting goals that are achievable and whatnot is reflecting on the past year. I know that might not be pleasant because some of us have had really tough years throughout 2020. I feel like there's been a lot of self-development and self-growth in the past year, but obviously we have been very limited with a global pandemic. So I want you to think about the past year, think about what you achieved, things you struggled with, things that you wanted to achieve and perhaps didn't. And then this is gonna put you in a really good stead to set goals for the new year because you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, you know things that you perhaps didn't get around to, which maybe matter even more now. So I just think reflecting and thinking about the way the year played out, whether you let time slip through your fingers, whether you need a more rigid plan, I guess. I know I certainly do. I let time get away from me and then suddenly it's months since I said I was going to do something and I'm really guilty of that. So just think about how the last year went and how you can adapt what you learn into your new goals. Okay, so next I'm going to suggest that you use the SMART method, which I actually learned in a course that I did, but it's really helpful for sort of giving you a really solid structure for your goals because it's so easy to write something really vague like, oh, have this much money in a bank account. Well, you need to have how you're going to achieve that, the little things that you're going to do to achieve that bigger goal, if you know what I mean. So the SMART goal system is basically an acronym for, is that the right word? I think it's the right word. So the first letter stands for specific. So you must know exactly what that goal is. If you put travel more, we need to know where you want to go, when you want to go, how you want to achieve it, if you know what I mean. Second letter stands for measurable. So how are you going to measure your progress towards this goal? So for example, say it was a fitness goal, you could take progress pictures, you could do weight check-ins and things like that. It must be measurable. Next, we have A, which stands for attainable or achievable. It must be achievable. For example, if I put I wanted to be a billionaire, that would be really stupid and unachievable. I mean, nothing's impossible, but I think I'm setting myself up for failure there. So make sure it's something you can actually achieve because there's nothing worse than setting goals which aren't realistic and then you look back at the year and you didn't achieve anything. So we need to be kind to ourselves, push ourselves, but also make sure it is possible. It's not out of the realms of possibility. Next, we have the letter R, which stands for realistic and relevant, which to me is kind of similar to the achievable bit, but gives you a little bit more to think about. So with the realistic, is it a realistic goal for you? Is it relevant to what you want to achieve in the bigger picture? I suppose you can have random goals, for example, say I wanted to become, let me think of something really random, an air balloon person. Imagine I wanted to do that. Yeah, that might not be relevant to the rest of my life, but it might be important to me. So this R is a little bit tricky, but it gives you a little bit more to think about. I think the key here is really thinking about it, the goal, and not just writing something loosely on a piece of paper and moving on and not doing it. Okay, so next we have T, which stands for time. So you need to give yourself a time frame to achieve a specific goal. You might have long-term goals in the year, you'd like to do this by the end of the year. However, if it's something that is like a set like milestone, you need to have a specific date that you're going to achieve it by. Otherwise, you can just easily let the months roll over and over into each other, and then suddenly it's next year and then you haven't done what you really wanted to do. So I think like it is important to have these main goals, but then you need to break it down to smaller goals to achieve that bigger goal if you do have a bigger goal, if that makes sense. Okay, so the next one is pretty obvious because I feel like I would really struggle to do the last step mentally, but I'm going to advise you to write your goals down. It's really, really important to write your goals down. I think it's something like you're 75% more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down, which is absolutely crazy, but it makes sense because when you're doubting yourself and questioning like, why did I even set these goals? Am I even bothered? You can look back and remind yourself why those goals were so important to you, why you wanted to achieve them, and then maybe it will like reignite your motivation and you'll be ready to like push that little bit more towards reaching it. And if you're someone who doesn't enjoy making lists, you find lists boring, you're like a visual person, make vision boards, stick post-it notes around your office or your bedroom, whatever you want. Just make sure it is in your headspace, you can see it, you're reminded of it, and you are kept like on the straight and narrow with these goals. You really do need to keep them in the forefront of your mind all the time and make sure that you remind yourself constantly why they're important to you, because otherwise life does, like things happen, like we're humans, we go through emotional periods in life and then we're less productive, things like that. You just need to keep it like written down somewhere or in a vision board, print it out, stick it up. I think I'm gonna make a vision board. I think that sounds really fun. But yeah, I just can't express how important it is to write things down. Okay, so the next one I have kind of touched on, but number 4 is to create a plan. So obviously you'll have like your ultimate like big goals, but then month by month you need to break down what you're gonna do to achieve those goals. And ultimately the more detail you put into your plan, the more likelihood of success. The less chance you have to stray, get off track and forget about what you're doing and why you want to achieve it. Number 5 is breaking your goal apart into smaller goals. And I have sort of touched on this, but obviously you are gonna have your main big like milestone goals, but you need to come up with mini goals to get you towards that. So for example, if you did want to become a blogger, maybe in your first month you could research how to make a website or look into other successful bloggers and see what they're doing. What you need to do is give yourself these smaller goals which are going to help you achieve the bigger picture, if you know what I mean. Number 6 is to understand that it is an evolving process. You have to keep tracking your progress, make changes to your goals if you need to. Things are gonna happen throughout the year and you might need to change your approach. That's totally fine, as long as you're still reaching this bigger picture that you wanted, or maybe you don't want that goal anymore and you wanna set new goals. I feel like as long as you're checking in with yourself, checking what you want, what's gonna make you happy, then that's absolutely fine. But the point that I want to make is that you must continuously track your progress and make any changes necessary. Okay, so my next point is a small step is better than no step. Like obviously, imagine you've got your destination there, you're here. If you make no step at all, you're not gonna be getting towards it. If you take a little baby step because you're not really feeling yourself that day, that's better than no step at all. You're still getting one step closer to the bigger picture, if you know what I mean. I hope you can see this, I'm not too low. But yeah, for example, say you have a fitness goal, you wanna hit this goal weight by this certain date. If you really don't feel like going to the gym, you're feeling unmotivated, you're feeling low, doing 50 jump lunges in your living room is better than doing nothing at all. And that's the point that you really need to continue to remind yourself. Just do whatever you feel capable of doing that day. And whether that is a really, really small thing or something which you feel so proud of and feel like you've been super productive, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, it's still taking you a step, however big or small, towards that bigger goal. So just remind yourself always throughout the year, a small step is better than no step. Okay, so my final suggestion is an accountability partner. If you know someone else is trying to make changes in their lives or is setting New Year's goals, why not check in with each other once a month, see how you're going. If you know you have to present what you've achieved to someone else, that can sometimes give you a kick up the bum, make you get on with things, because if you have no one to sort of show what you've achieved to, then it's easy to just not do anything because you won't be disappointing anyone and you won't be feeling like embarrassed if you haven't done anything. Not that you should be embarrassed if you haven't done anything, but if you want to, this is a good way to do it. Another option, if you don't have an accountability partner, is to keep a diary. So write down every time you do something, whether it's very, very small or a massive milestone. Keep note of it, because then you can look back and it will motivate you to keep going. Any sort of accountability is super important. Okay, you guys, that is absolutely everything today. Thank you so much for tuning in. My first video of 2021. Please leave a comment below letting me know what you thought. I really enjoy doing this type of video. I feel like it just sort of rolls off the tongue, because as an individual, I really enjoy like journaling, making goals and to-do lists. It's really sad, I know. I also really recommend getting a daily planner. This one is by Hello Day, and I will show you a little close up, but it gives you like a breakdown for the day, like AM, PM. And then there is a bunch of ways to stay on track in this planner. And I just think it's such a nice way. Like every evening I'll write down what I need to do the next day. And then it's so satisfying highlighting things off, ticking them off or whatever. And I just think it's such a great way to stay on track. And without this guy, I would be lost. So I definitely recommend a day planner. I will put the link to this one in the description box below. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you all next time. Mwah. Bye.